Hey everyone, welcome to Recovcast. Come on in, we got friends inside.
I wish that I was a better person. I know I'm going to hell. I know that no matter what, I pray and ask God for forgiveness, but He's not going to forgive what I've done to you and what I've done to my family and to everyone else I've hurt. I'm just a piece of shit and I'm nothing. I'm absolutely nothing. That's why I'm crying, is because I don't know how to fix it.
Alright everyone, welcome back to Recovhub. If you guys don't see me again after this episode, it's because I'm dead. Anyways, this is my girlfriend Sonia, my significant other. I thought we would bring her on, let you guys know exactly how we got through our relationship, through the hard times. I mean, I've been an addict for the last 10 years, and we've been together 7 years, right?
Yeah.
About 7 years. And you're wondering how all the crap that I've talked about on this show, how someone could still be with me in this case, but we really had to work hard through it. And it was probably the toughest time of both of our lives.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah.
So where are you from?
So I'm from Vegas. Before I got in a relationship with you, I thought, things were just like cookie cutter. I lived in a bubble basically my entire life. So
Like you were sheltered, you mean?
yeah, and then when I met you, something was different about you. Like you kind of just didn't really care about much of anything. Like you didn't care about rules, which I found that exciting. Because I was always my parents were always super strict with me.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't allowed to drive until I was 18, and then I wasn't allowed to get a job until I graduated high school. So when I became an adult, I always felt like I had to follow these certain rules.
Yeah.
And then when I met you, you were very like carefree, and I found that really exciting. That's one of the reasons why I was attracted to you, because I was like, oh my gosh, she's so carefree and like a free spirit kind of person. So you kind of helped me come out of my shell a little bit.
I'm glad I could help with something. What was going on with me at the time was I'm also from Vegas, and I moved to Los Angeles, and I was there pursuing my degree, which was in film. And things seemed to be going okay when I didn't have the drugs, because I didn't know anyone in Los Angeles that carried the same drugs that I wanted. But I was still drinking heavily and smoking weed, and I thought that if I was to just do both of those things, that everything would be okay, because that's what everyone else there did. So I thought I fit right in.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we first met each other, I was trying to escape the drugs by leaving Vegas and living in LA, and it almost became two separate lives I was living, because I was still addicted, but I brought my problems with me, but I didn't have the, exact alcohol or drugs that I wanted, which was, the opiates or the benzos. And so I was planning on quitting. I thought I was being forced to quit by living in a different city. And so when we met, I didn't plan on using for much longer, but I was using when we first met each other.
And I had no idea. Like, I just want people to know that when you don't know who you're getting into a relationship with. You don't know what they're about. You don't know, aside from what they tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're telling me this now, and even, in hindsight, like looking back, I had no idea. Like, I just thought, oh, you really like to party. Like, and back then too, like I like to party too. Like I like to go out and drink and smoke weed, and I always thought that was just the normal thing to do. Like, that's what people our age did.
Yeah.
But I had no idea that you had, problems underneath the surface.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to drag her into anything. Like, the more close we became, we both had issues, and you'd have to say it was codependency, I guess. But I didn't really learn about what codependency was until I came through treatment here. And so I just thought that, like, I needed you because, we were so in love that I didn't want to be separated from you. But in all actuality, things turned out to where I dragged you into my dark hole with me because I couldn't stand to be alone.
And that's your version, but also my version. Like, I know I've had some trauma, with the relationships that I've been in, because prior to, when we got into a relationship, and then when I moved to LA, to move with you, all my previous relationships, they've all have cheated on me. And so you were the only person that was faithful to me. And so in my eyes, I was like, he's the one, he's perfect. And when, down the road, when I found out that you did have a drug addiction, it was almost like, why, God? Like, why are you doing this to me? Like, why are you sending me this perfect, boyfriend with this flaw? And I remember, like, I would beat myself up about it. Like, you have to fix him. Like, you have to help him. You have to do this, because if it doesn't work with him, and you get into a relationship with whoever else, they're going to cheat on you, and so he's perfect and you have to fix him. And I think that was my codependency, is like, I was trying to, like, cure you in a way when I had no idea what it was. I had no idea how severe drug addiction was. I mean, you hear about it. You hear, oh, drugs are bad. Alcohol's bad. But you don't see it, firsthand. Like, you don't see when people are actually, like, withdrawing and what it does to you. Like, you just hear that it's addicting.
And I was pretty much withdrawing, like, every day for years and years. Like, I mean, at least you saw that part of me.
And that's the thing. I thought that was, like, because you had surgery in your past, and you woke up sick all the time. I kind of convinced myself that that was a part of the surgery. Mm-hmm. So I didn't think that it was, like, the drug problem too. Like, I thought, well, it's his surgery and, the effects of that surgery. But, deep down is you were withdrawing and you were,
I was just
detoxing.
In denial about how bad it was, because as our relationship progressed and I saw the damage that happened along the way with all the different places we lived and all the different people we knew, things just kept getting worse and worse for me. So if I thought that I was supposed to detach from the little bit of good that we still had left, that, which was, I was just happy that I was with you. And, like, I felt like we were really strong and we could have got through anything. And every day I was telling myself that this is the last day I'm going to use. Like, I don't have any more chances left. And it kept going and going. And so I never ended up going and leaving and getting the treatment that I needed, because I just thought that, like, if I was to leave you, then I would have lost everything that I still loved and cared about. Mm-hmm. And so it dragged on for years. Yeah. And I wish I would have got the help sooner. I wish I would have left and came here and gave myself the chance. But it's kind of, you don't want to sound like a cop-out saying that, it was in God's plan for all this stuff to happen. But we somehow managed to get through it, and, we're stronger than ever. I think that, we're completely honest with each other now. Mm-hmm. We have boundaries set to where, we don't say things or do things to each other that, we did in the past that, when we were upset or angry, we felt like we were in quicksand and we were just trying to get out, but there was no like clear solution. I mean, we could have broke up, but then, what would have happened to me? I probably would have ended up dead. Like
And there were ultimatums too. Like it's not like we just stuck together the entire time. Like there was ultimatums in between too. Like, oh, you can't live here. You got to go on the street. I can't accept that. But the problem with someone who's addicted is they try to manipulate their way and try to come back in, and then the partner feels responsible because their family kicked them out, and so now you're going to be homeless and you're not going to have any food or water, and it's up to me to do to help you, and so I would let you back in, but the cycle just started like back over again and over again and over again, and I would always tell myself, oh, I wish it would just stop. I wish we could just, live a normal life. But we were so codependent with each other. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Like, we wanted for you to get better and we wanted to be happy. But at the same time, we didn't have the tools. We didn't have the help that we really needed to move forward, and we weren't really strong mentally. Like, I know looking back, I thought, oh, I can do this, I can get through this, but really, like, no, I don't think anybody can.
I thought my plan was to just get off the drugs mm-hmm. long enough to where that I would be cured. The effect of what I did to myself, or the addiction part, if I wasn't physically addicted to them, that I would be like I was before I mm-hmm. took them. But the fact is that after you get addicted to these drugs, even for a little bit, your brain chemistry changes to where that that's always a solution to the negative feelings you're having that you refuse to deal with. And so from then on out, like, yeah, you're an addict even though you're not using. Like, I mean, I'm getting to where I have a year clean, and I'm not thinking I got this, because there's a few times where I got sober and I thought, I got this, so I can go have fun and party and go do whatever we want to go do. We go on trips, and mm-hmm. I like to go drink at different cool places. And we went to Austin this summer, right when I was finishing up treatment, kind of to celebrate what we went through, and that now I'm getting sober, and things are starting to change, and the whole place was partying and drinking. We'd walk down the street and there was just all these cool bars and all these people seeming to have a lot of fun while we were there, but even the receptionist at the front was like, oh, you're like, he doesn't drink, and she's like, I've never heard anyone come here and say that before, mm-hmm. they don't drink.
And when you go to check into a hotel, they always tell you, oh, this is the best happy hours, and these are the best, spots to go eat at or to go out and drink at. But then you don't want that life for yourself, no. Like you have to find this like middle ground now, because we can go to a bar and then just eat. You know, now. But in the beginning, it was kind of like awkward. Well, like, we didn't want to do that.
Because people in treatment think like once they get out of treatment, they can go back to living in their old life and just hang out with the old people, go back to the same places, even wear the same clothes and talk the same way and have a normal life just without drugs. They just choose not to do it. But little by little, you have to start feeding yourself things like, first, you get a job, then you get some money, and then you have that money, and you're like, oh man, what am I going to spend this cash on my pocket in? When you get like a payday, when you get your car back, when you start driving again, cell phone, even going back to your old city. And so when we went to Austin, I had to little by little feed myself those things. Like, I couldn't jump right back into that kind of atmosphere and know I was going to be okay.
And on that trip, like, I was drinking and I didn't know how to, I think that was like the first trip that we had where you were sober and I had like one drink, because I didn't.
It's more like 4, but I
Well,
wasn't housekeeping.
I had one drink like per day. I didn't have like 4 or anything. I didn't get drunk, but I remember thinking like I'll have one drink at the pool, and then the next day like I'll have one drink at dinner. But I didn't know how, like I didn't want to be completely sober, but at the same time I didn't want to be drunk. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can just drink one drink.
Well,
and
you're on
be
vacation,
fine.
you wanted to have fun.
Yeah, but I'm also at that point now where I don't feel like I need alcohol to have fun. But you know how like you're in that mindset, like, oh, in order to have fun, like how these people are having fun, I need to have alcohol. So I was still kind of in that mindset, and I wasn't allowing myself to just be present without, enjoying myself.
Because we associate from when we were really young, when we first started drinking. The whole reason why we kept drinking was because we were around friends, everyone had a good time. Mm-hmm. We thought, like, when you first start doing drugs, you start drinking alcohol, you do have a good time. Like, it is fun until it isn't. And so you associate drinking with that fun time. Like, oh, if I'm drinking, then that's connected to this memory that I once had, even if it's subconscious or whatever.
Yeah.
You still think that that's the case, and rather than stopping that and gaining new habits and doing new things, like it's alcohol and drugs really deeply roots itself into you to where you can't just say, oh, I'm going to shut it off and have fun anyways. Mm-hmm. Because there was at one point we were on the trip, and I don't know if I talked to you about this or not, but we went to that concert and you had the drink, and I wanted to test myself by being around you while you were drinking to see how I felt.
I remember you telling me that too. You're like, no, have fun.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't want people to be around me and say, oh, I can't be myself when Kyle's around because I know that he is an alcoholic. But you got a beer at that concert we were at, and you had it in the cup holder, and there's the tiny little seats, and there was just a cup holder, and
it's like right in between.
And then you go, I have to go pee, and you left, and I remember sitting there, and my hand is sitting right there on the cup holder, and I'm looking at this beer in front of me, like in my arm's distance, and I'm like, oh man, like if I took a drink right now, or if I drank some of this right now, no one would know. I could, in the back of my head with old Kyle, I'd be like, oh, I could just take it and lie, and nothing would change. I could see if I could still like it, or if I can have a little bit and see if, and I was just like, that's the point I realized where I was like, no, like I can't touch this stuff anymore. Like,
no. And then I remember coming back from the bathroom, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if it's like, because I thought that too. Like, it's so weird that we both think the same thing. But like, I remember thinking like, should I leave my drink or should I take it with me? And I like left it there because I just didn't want to carry it with me into the bathroom. And then where am I going to put it? So then I just left it there, and I came back and it was like at the same amount. And then you're just sitting there like, I'm fine. Like, I'm just having fun.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew, like, oh wow, he really has progressed.
Yeah, there's little tests that you have to give yourself before you actually just dive into thinking that, you can go back to having everything, all the responsibilities, everything that you have, right back out of treatment, right back out of, getting sober for whatever many time it is, and actually, be successful at it. Because that's where I failed at, right when I got out of treatment, I wanted all my stuff back. And then as soon as I got it, an overwhelming, addictive compulsion would come back in, and you'd find some excuse to just, give into it. And this time I really had to gradually make the baby steps to get out of this. And right now I'm honestly feeling, like that is the past. What happened with us? I'm not trying to say that I'm cured, but I'm also saying that I'm not ever planning on using again. Yeah. I'm not saying that, like, I know I'm not, like, in my heart I do, but I just know how powerful the addiction is to everyone out there, and I'm just lucky that I have you as like a best friend, as well as my significant other, to where you could have some compassion for me, to where you could see that deep down I was trying to get better, and that I didn't deserve any more chances, but I couldn't figure out how to get out of it. And so when we finally got down to rock bottom for me, I decided that I needed to leave. And so right now you and I have been what people would call a long distance relationship, even though it's only about 4 hours away. But we had to really figure out who each other were alone. Even though we're still together, we just had to come up with new things that we like to do and we felt like we were good at, and started to get some confidence in ourselves.
It was really hard in the beginning too, because we spent almost every day together.
Yeah.
Like if we weren't working,
Yeah.
we were together, and or with each other's families. And when you left, it was really strange. Like when I was lucky because I kept busy with work, and that kind of distracted me a little bit. But then, I work conventions and promotions in Las Vegas, and I work at some of the nightclubs too. So like when work is busy, it's busy. So I'll be busy for like 3, 4, 5 days at a time. But then when it's slow, it's slow. So then I'll be off for 3, 4, 5 days at a time.
Yeah.
And I would have nothing but my thoughts. And you weren't there. And I couldn't call you because, you didn't have your cell phone. You were just admitted. And so it was a really interesting time for me to get to know who I was, and not just I'm who I thought I, should be, or I'm this person's girlfriend, or I'm this, damaged girl from this, relationship or whatever. And so I just learned how to take care of myself and my mental health too, because being codependent, you don't realize you're codependent. You don't realize that you're severely attached to someone. And when you left, it's almost like I'm left-handed, so it's like somebody cut off my left arm, and I was like trying to write with my right.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and so I was like, like I didn't know what to do. So
yeah, it's masked by a pretty package called love, like the codependency that we don't really realize is there. I don't think anyone is just exempt from codependency. Everyone has like a little bits of things that they have to really, look at. But with us, I had no choice in the matter. It was like I either had to work it out with you or figure out what I needed to do, because I didn't want to sleep out on the street, but I really deep down, loved you, and I think that you knew that, and I think you knew that, I was trying to get better, and if I could get better, that, I wouldn't just ignore everything we went through and take off. Like, I think you knew that I was sincere deep down, but I just was in a mess, and it went on for just too damn long.
Looking back, like, I can't believe how many years it went on. Because right now it just feels like, oh yeah, that was such a difficult time. But like really looking into it, you're just like, whoa. Like if I could go back and tell myself, hey, but kindly, not shake myself and say, do this. I would kindly tell myself, hey, it's going to get better, but like you need to separate yourself and take some time for yourself. Like, trust me, like you will benefit from this. That's like the advice I would tell myself, and that's probably the advice I would tell other girls too that are in these types of relationships, because I feel like as a girl you want to be loved. Like that, I don't care what any girl says, they want to be loved by a guy, or if you're a girl and you want to be loved by a girl, we don't
Dope.
we don't mind that either. But whatever you are, you just want to be loved by someone. And you want it to be genuine, and you want it to be real. So, but then you also, you want them to love you more than you love yourself. And that sounds so stupid saying that out loud.
Can you get into whatever that is? Because I don't feel that way. I never heard really guys
It's just
feel
like,
that.
it's just
talk
how,
about it like
yeah,
that.
it's just how girls think. Like, they think, oh, I want, you know, this guy or girl, this person to love me, and I want them to love me more than I love myself because it'll make me feel so wanted.
Was it
It'll-
like Disney movies that you watch?
I
Like
guess.
The
I honestly, I feel like it's just the media. Like, they dramatize and romanticize all these, you know, love stories, and they always have these, like,
you want to feel special.
you do. And in the real world, it's not like the movies. It's not like the books that you read. It's not, you can't compare it. So when something doesn't go your way, or when somebody isn't as faithful to you or isn't as genuine to you, and then you think, oh my God, I don't know what to do. What's going on? You feel like the world just shattered. I think it just stems from maybe just your parenting too, the way your upbringing, the people you hang around, the knowledge that you take in too, like whatever you're watching, whatever you're reading, and you just think, oh, that's the way it should be. That's how, you know, the standards that I'm going to live my life. And it doesn't go your way, then you start to think that, oh, well, I'm not good enough and I'm not this. So I'm going to change everything about myself. That way I can be this person. But
So-
then you're not genuine to yourself.
In a nutshell, you're saying like you don't feel really socially accepted, or you don't feel worth it, and you want a guy to come in and overcompensate on that
I
feeling.
can only speak for myself, but I know, you know, from a few friends that have told me, you know, from their experience too, that that's the same.
Yeah, because I mean, as a girl, you want to feel pretty. You want to feel like, you know, guys are looking at you, you know?
Yeah. No.
And when you don't, you feel like, you know, there's something wrong with you. Like, you need to be assured that everything is going to be okay. I mean, guys feel like that in a way too, but I think the roles are different. I think that guys know that when they come into a relationship that most of the time they're going to have to deal with girls that might be high maintenance. They're going to have to, you know, be providers, or like that's implied. So they know, like, if they have a girl, like, I mean, if you get a girlfriend, yeah, you definitely feel better about yourself. But I just wanted you to love me the same way I loved you. I didn't want you to love me more. So that definitely led into codependency. But we had issues from both angles, from our childhoods and
Yeah.
different things that had led into our relationship. And
Then combined with the addiction, that was like a huge toxic mess.
Yeah, but in a way, I mean, you said that you were in that bubble when you were younger, and I needed somebody with a little bit of stability that, you know, could see me for who I actually was. And it's unfortunate that we had to go through what we went through, and we would never want to go through it again.
I
But
would never
We
wish.
learned so much from that.
Yeah, I
to-
would never wish what we went through to my worst enemy,
Yeah.
because it was the most difficult thing I've ever gone through in my life. But having said that,
Well, what I went through was the most difficult thing
yeah, but
I ever went through in my life.
but like watching the person that you love destroy themselves day after day after day, like year after year, that does something to you mentally, you know? And so, looking back, like, yeah, I wouldn't wish that on anyone, because I feel like that's so traumatic. But also, I feel like I needed to go through that, as weird as that sounds, because the way that I used to be and the way that I used to act, I was very selfish, you know, prior to meeting you. I was just very just naive about the world. I wasn't I don't like saying this word, but I don't like saying woke, but I wasn't as aware of my surroundings as I am now. And I feel like I am more open-minded, and I am more, I'm less judgmental of other people now, because I've, witnessed seeing, you go through what you've gone through.
Yeah, filthy drug addict,
Oh my gosh,
What
yeah.
a loser,
I used to be like that. I used to think
loser
that.
boyfriend,
I used to be like that. I used to think those things. If I saw a homeless person on the street, I always thought, oh my gosh, like, they just can't get a job, or they can't do, and that's such a toxic way of thinking. Like, now I just look at them and I think, oh my goodness, like, I hope they get the help they need. I hope that, they are not going to be living in the streets forever. And I know you can't just hope for things to happen, that you have to actually make the change. But I'm more compassionate now than I used to be. Yeah, I'm definitely not the same person. But
no, you're not the same person.
But also,
yeah,
I have felt like, because I've gone through this and I feel more secure in my own skin, I also feel like a lot of people have left my life. A lot of people that I used to call friends, or I would just hang, even acquaintances or coworkers or whatever that I would get along with, they kind of view me differently now, because I don't think the way they do. I don't act the way they do. I don't portray myself in that way. And I could feel, you could feel the energy shift. But I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not everyone's cup of tea, just like how everyone's not gonna be my, cup of tea.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the change. Like, I like who I am now. I respect myself now. I'm not as, I'm not very, like, judgmental with the way that I live my life now. Like, oh, if you don't do this, then XYZ, then you're a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more mindful now. Like, me, I used to be on my phone all the time. And now it's like, oh, let me put my phone away. I don't want to be on it. I want to be more mindful. We try to, meditate and do yoga more often now. Like, we try to, even today, like, we were driving and he was like taking me on some journey in the mountains, and I'm like, where are we going? And you're like, oh, I'm just taking you on this, road so we can see the sunset.
Yeah,
the
super
view.
straight of me, but I was like, wow, looks really nice, and we were with my dog.
Yeah.
And she's never seen the mountains before, and I wanted them to see it, and I was appreciating what was going on around me, and trying to live in the present moment. And I thought, when we used to do the Calm app before we went to bed, that it was just like a silly thing that I would just do with you, because I couldn't think that it would actually do any good.
Yeah.
Because I just thought it was like, okay, you're relaxed now.
Okay, you have to sit here for 10 minutes and just, like, not think or move.
No, but absolutely, mindfulness has been so key to correcting all of those things that we had that we needed to fix with us. Like, because you give yourself a second to see the emotion trying to control what's going on, rather than the rational thought.
You're kind of like an outsider looking in on yourself.
Yeah,
in a way.
And then you slowly train yourself back into thinking, like, okay, you give yourself a second, and then think about it, because we're so quick to reacting to things we see from stuff that happened in the past, trauma, even if it's little micro trauma, we still project that into the future from people that we see and run into we don't know. And whether it's just judging people or judging a situation, or figuring that this is exactly how the outcome is before actually going through with it and seeing how the result is. We just assume. So with mindfulness, we actually give ourselves that chance, and then your life starts piece by piece starting to make more sense, and you start to wake up.
Yeah.
because you're seeing reality how it actually is right now, rather than living in an assumption.
Well said.
Yeah. So, since I gave myself the time to come to treatment, and you were able to separate from me for a little while, and it hurt very, very badly. Like you're right, when we had to take the time to split off from each other, like we had to pull off a band-aid, but we knew we were still going to be there for each other. We just had to like let go of that control of what we thought we had over our relationship. And we had to see exactly how it was going to work out if I did, get sober and I did do some of the work that I needed to do. So I had the option to go to a few different places, and I picked here, and I came down here. And at first, all you want to do is go back, and hopefully everything will be better and you just don't use drugs anymore. But I started, developing different habits that were good and positive while I was here. I started to notice a lot of good change in myself, and I didn't want to give that up because I knew like that's was the best thing for both of us, is if I was to actually be able to step out and go and handle life on life's terms. And so I got an amazing job here that I love doing, and I started doing work and good, and I started doing what they told me to do when I was in treatment, instead of just like hearing it and saying, okay, you're right, and then just trying to live the way I did. I actually changed a lot of my habits, and from there the development was crazy on how things with my family with your family, with how the relationships turned out, like how bad it was when I was at your house with your mom. And I had that spell where I was, I came off of Xanax and I went into psychosis, and I was ripping open doors and cupboards, and your mom saw me, and I was cooking with nothing in the pot on the stove, and the fire wasn't on, and I was talking to people on the phone that weren't there. And she was nice enough to let me come into the house, but she was terrified of me. She actually put up like fortress gates over the back and front doors to make sure I would never come back. I gave your mom some PTSD or something.
She's like that though. She just wants to like be locked up because she feels safe. But like, yeah, she really was freaked out.
Yeah, and then I, left for a while and didn't rush things. Took the baby steps that I needed to in order to, get back on the right track. And no, I wouldn't just lead myself into a disaster by, just rushing back. And I came back to visit at about 6 months sober. I was really nervous, but we went over to your house, and your mom was there. And I hadn't seen her since something went wrong a long time ago. And these are, amends that I've been meaning to make, but I never actually thought that I would get the right chance to do it. And I saw her. She saw how good I was doing, and I talked to her, and everything seemed to go really well. She was actually...
first thing she told me, like when you left, she was like, "Oh my gosh, Sonia, Kyle, he looks so good. He has color in his face."
Yeah.
Because I remember for a long time, like, you just looked so ghostly. Like, you looked so pale. Like, you were, like...
Because I was dying.
Yeah. And she's like, wow, like, he looks like he's doing really well. And, I would tell her, "Oh, yeah, they do this. They go to meetings and Bible study." And she goes, wow. Like, her eyes just, like, get super wide. And she just, like, couldn't believe it because... you were living with me at her house, for a short time. And, the drug use did occur at the house. But my mom is also, like, a sweet, lady. And
yeah, I mean...
she doesn't know what... She hears drugs, but she's never seen it, and she's never been around it. So for her... she doesn't want to believe that that's happening in her own home, and it was. And, we were arguing and things were just toxic. But, for her to see you from that point to where you are now, it's like two different people.
Yeah, and so I went over and apologized. I offered a little bit of money that I had to, because I know she had to pay for a lot of the stuff that I did damage-wise, and she was just happy to see that I was doing well, and we actually gave each other a hug, and I've been staying at your house when I come into town, and she's there, and it's a totally different world than what it was when I was in my addiction. Like, I never thought that I could get to the point where I'm at now with her family. And again, we've been together for, a little bit less than a decade in a way. And, if you are to give yourself a little bit of time to get sober and step out of your comfort zone and actually go do some of the work that you need to do to get back on track, your life will come together. I mean, it won't be perfect, but it'll be better than you imagined it. I know that all I wanted was to stop using drugs and have a good relationship with, your family, with my family. With my family, my mom was too afraid to even let me in the house anymore. No one wanted me around for, in this past Christmas, I went home and everyone's happy to see me. Everyone, has forgave me, I feel like, and for the most part, they are just happy to see that I'm alive and back around, and that I'm actually serious about my recovery this time. And then being on the other side of things, like I'd go over to my brother's house, and my brother-in-law was over there drinking heavily, and I felt judged when I would be around them, because they know that I would be on something, or I was, I didn't look good. And then now when you're in recovery, you can actually see that it's not just you that has the problems.
Yeah.
Like, the other people, everyone has some sort of problem, and they're all trying to manage and deal with it. And going through what I went through and what we went through, we definitely are a lot more sympathetic about things to people. We understand that life's hard. We understand that not everything's going to be perfect like you were hoping it would when you were in your bubble before we met. And I think God taught us not the hard way, because he's not trying to punish us for anything, but he knew that he had a plan for what we wanted to do with us. And being those old people, those insecure, sheltered versions of ourselves that were judgmental and afraid to step out, that's not who we were meant to be. And so this is something that you and I went through together to make us stronger. And now that I feel like I can say confidently that we're past a lot of this, we're past this, that we're going to be able to accomplish, anything that's thrown at us. Because I can't imagine what would be harder than if I had, if one of us had a life-threatening disease, which mine was life-threatening. I could have died at any day. Like, any day I could have died.
You almost did, like, 5 times. And that right there shows that there is a higher power, that you are meant to be here for whatever reason, for this, helping people, or for telling your story. I don't know, like, there's a reason that you're here, because
there's a reason we're both here.
Yeah.
In a different state than Nevada and Las Vegas, sitting here on, speaking about all this stuff on camera so openly.
I could never, like, in the past, like, I could never be doing this right now.
No.
Like, we both lived in LA, and we both were trying to be a part of the whole, like, film industry. Like, you were trying to be, like, behind the scenes, like, crew and production. And I was trying to do makeup. Like, I wanted to be behind the scenes. I was the one like getting ready, getting like the cast ready, like models or actors or like whatever. And I never pictured myself being in front of the camera. Like if I was doing this back then, I'd be so insecure. Like I would not be able to do it.
Yeah.
But now it's like you're just telling your truth. Like you're just being yourself, and that's what people want. People want realness. Like people want genuine, heartfelt stories. Someone that they can connect with. They don't want some phony, like artificial, plaster of whatever. Like they want something that they can connect with. And I feel like you're doing a good job on this podcast because you're sharing your story, but you're also sharing other people's stories. And because everybody has a voice and everybody has a purpose.
Yeah, I'm just trying to help bridge the gap to relate to everyone out there that is struggling with this stuff. And we all come from different walks of life. We've all gone through different things, but it was all under the same category. It was all the same disease, all of the addiction, the compulsion.
I mean, look at the times that we're living in. Like the expectations that we're
we're
supposed
killing ourselves
to meet.
To try to be perfect.
Yeah, it's like
we're not
no
allowed to be
one,
human anymore.
No, it's like you're supposed to look a certain way. You're supposed to, have a certain level of education by the time you're this age, and get a job by this age, and get have a family, have kids, have this, have the house, have the. It's like even saying it, like I feel the pressure building. You're not supposed to have the same path as your neighbor, as the person you're walking by down the street. Everybody is walking a different path. And once you realize that, you just feel so at peace that you can take your time walking your path, because it doesn't matter how fast you get there. It's just how you progress.
Yeah,
when you get
how
there.
you got there.
Yeah, but even now, like addiction is so common throughout not just the U.S. but throughout the world. A lot of people are struggling with drugs, alcohol, sexual addiction, whatever, like food addiction. It just codependency, like all of these things it's like under the same umbrella. It's like you are addicted to something, a substance, a vice, And why is that? Why is it that now more than ever there's more people addicted? And yeah, you used to hear about it, that this person, I feel so bad for them, and they, became addicted to this. But now it's like you see the statistics on opiates and it's staggering, and so it's like more people are talking about it because more people are dying from it. And so it's not just a taboo thing that people just want to sweep under the rug. Like you have to talk about it. Like that you can't, it's like an elephant in the room. Like you can't ignore it, because there's so many people that are, they get hurt at work and then they get painkillers, and it, that's where it starts. It starts, just by little getting hurt, or you trying something somebody gave you, and you think, it's just this one time, and then it's boom, years later.
Yeah, because your brain just formed a solution to filling that empty void that's that we all have. We all have a little bit of that empty void, and whether you fill it with social media, with shopping and having presents delivered to your house every day. Prime time.
Prime's on time.
Prime's on, yeah. And or you find alcohol, which is very, very common.
Yeah.
The first thing that we all try is alcohol. It'll somehow fill that void, and we realize that, this is now the solution. So we follow that as the solution.
And even
to our death.
For partners going through it, I feel like setting boundaries is a big thing.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, because just not allowing for that person to just talk you into doing what they want you to do, because it's so easy to do that, you know, but setting boundaries is huge. And I feel like if I could help somebody, that is probably like the main thing, is set.
You have to stick to those boundaries.
Yeah, you can't just say that you know, want this to happen and then do something else. Like, you have to stick to what you say. So that's a big one. And also just talking to someone, just, you know, just a friend, a therapist, family, like someone that you trust, not just anyone, because I remember I would just be going through it, and sometimes I would just want to talk to just somebody because I needed to vent, and I might have told the wrong person, you know, but it's because I just like needed to talk to somebody. But I feel like you need to talk to somebody that you trust, and somebody that's compassionate, because there's a lot of people that they don't care what you're going through. They're like, oh, that sucks, sorry. So like, you really have to be careful with who you talk to, because that what you
don't want to have it push you in the wrong direction.
Yeah, you don't want like a misleading or misguidance. So that's another thing.
Let me tell you guys that it takes a lot of courage. I'm not trying to brag, but how tough it is to come on here in front of the camera and put this online to where anyone can see it and do whatever they want with it, and be okay about that. It took a lot of work to get to this point. Just getting clean off drugs it's just a beginning. Like, you're gonna have to do like a lot of stuff you don't want to do, and all I can say is it's gonna make you grow and start listening to somebody other than yourself, or that internal voice, that addictive compulsion that's pushing you in that direction to make those decisions that you keep seeing negative damage, catastrophe happen from. So you're gonna have to step out of your comfort zone and take some advice from some new people, and all I can do is try to help share this with you. And you know, thanks, Sonia, for being so vulnerable and coming from out of town here. Anyways, guys, tune into the next Recov Hub, and this was a special one for me. So,
Yep.
love you.
Special. First prize.